All right. Let's start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakha Kodash. Welcome. Let's start off by saying to another live lesson. The name of this one is The Gates of the Nobles. And pretty much the lesson that we did yesterday touched on this live event that was taking place. It was on Reuters. It's a House committee hearing on the rise of domestic terrorism. And they mentioned the Hebrew Israelites, which they put the label black in the beginning of it, but you know, big deal. You know, that's what they're doing to demonize the Israelites. But anyway, excuse me, a couple of brothers on the comment board, either one or a couple of brothers on the comment board, they put comments as to, you know, that pretty much we made it to the gates of the nobles or something along those lines. And then a few other brothers that have done response videos been mentioning the same thing. And, you know, being brought before the gates of the nobles doesn't necessarily mean, you know, being brought before them, you know, to answer questions, you know, even though that did happen in the past with the disciples, which became apostles. They did it to Yahweh Shai. They brought him before the nobles, you know, brought him up on charges. Because this is the gates, that is the gates of the nobles, you know, those legislators, different body of these government agencies, you know, and representatives of these agencies. And the first person I heard say that was Elder Apostle Tahar. He mentioned that, you know, that going to the gates of the noble doesn't necessarily mean being brought before them, although some brothers will be brought before them, you know, but it's more so what we see going on right here, you know, where they're mentioning the Hebrew Israelites and mentioning, you know, them having to do something about this racism, which, you know, cracks me up, you know, when Esau, you know, as racist as this devil has been, he has a nerve to call somebody a racist. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. What I'm going to do, I've been listening to this. I was listening to it yesterday. I listened to it from the beginning. I caught a couple of things. So I listened to about half of it so far. And I got 2 points I want to bring out on this lesson. The Lord's will to be edifying. Read a couple of precepts and that's it. So let's get to it.
The point is the previous president, the former President Trump, called out neo-Nazis and white nationalists and said they should be condemned. I think there's no one in this room that would disagree with that statement. Earlier that same year, we saw politically inspired domestic terrorism that actually hit much closer to our home. As Republican members gathered at Eugene Simpson Stadium Park in Alexandria, Virginia to practice for an annual congressional baseball game for charity, James Thompson Hodgkinson, age 66, fired at least 70 rounds from a handgun and rifle at the congressman's staff and others at the park. 5 people were injured during the assault, including Republican Whip Steve Scalise, who was in critical condition and underwent multiple surgeries. The Commonwealth Attorney for the city of Alexandria, a Democrat, concluded, quote, "The evidence in this case establishes beyond a reasonable doubt that the suspect, fueled by rage against Republican legislators, decided to commit an act of terrorism," close quote. He was a Bernie Sanders supporter. We also cannot forget the attack that took place in 2012 at the Family Research Council when Floyd Corkins attempted to, quote, "kill as many people as he could," close quote, at the Family Research Council Center in Washington, D.C.
It should be coming up soon. Just bear with me. I went back a little further than I wanted to.
According to the sentencing memorandum, he told the FBI he wanted to kill the people in the building and then smear a Chick-fil-A sandwich on their face. He was inspired to attack the FRC because it had been identified on Southern Poverty Law Center's hate map. It was a different set of ideologies that inspired the attacks on West Coast federal buildings than those that inspired an attack on our Capitol. We've seen white and black supremacist groups inspire domestic terrorist events.
Here we go, black and white supremacists.
In 2015 in Charleston, South Carolina, Dylan Roof harboring views of white supremacy, took the lives of 9 congregants of the Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church. In 2019, in Jersey City, New Jersey, David N. Anderson
Here we go.
and Francine Graham shot and killed 3 people at a kosher grocery store in Jersey City, New Jersey. The shooters also wounded 1 customer and 2 police officers. A Jersey City Police Department detective was shot and killed by the assailants at a nearby cemetery just before the grocery store attack. David Anderson and Francine Graham, identified as Black Hebrew Israelites.
Oh, there we go. Black Hebrew Israelites. And this is pretty much the Israelite thing, the Hebrew Israelite thing that made it to the gates of the nobles, So now they're looking for ways to so-called eradicate it, or get rid of it. But let's listen to some more.
Which the Southern Poverty Law Center found that, quote, the extremist fringe of the Hebrew Israelite movement is black supremacist.
See? Black supremacists, they don't talk about the truth, they don't talk about, they trying to equate us with white supremacy, but, the Hebrew Israelites do not have a history of murdering people, lynching people like the Ku Klux Klan and other white supremacist groups, but that they still try to lump everybody in together because at the end of the day, they have an agenda, which is the so-called New World Order, and they want everyone to comply to this New World Order. Let's just listen to some more.
It also wrote that the members of those groups, quote, believe that Jews are devilish imposters and openly condemn whites as evil personified.
Which they are. That's what the scriptures say. So how are we at fault for something that is written in the scriptures, which the Lord, called them the wicked, Here it is, you make people to swear in on the Bible, but then you condemn people, an example, us, the Hebrew Israelites, for bringing out facts that are in the scriptures, When we go to the book of Job, chapter 9, real quick. Job chapter 9. 9 and damn, I can't believe I forgot the verse. We bring this scripture out on a regular. And right now 9:24. Damn, I forgot the verse. Job 9:24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. So by the calculations of what this is saying, who is in control of the earth? The so-called white man, which are who? The Edomites. So it says that the earth is given into their hand. And then we identify in the scriptures who the wicked is. And the wicked are the Edomites. You go to Malachi, the 1st chapter for that. So it says the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof, which they've done. They've covered the face of the Most High and Yahushua, the angels, the Israelites, with their face. Them imposters. So they talking about we call Amalek imposters, and they are imposters. The scriptures call them imposters, and they are the ones that covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? So if they didn't do this, who is it and where are they? Because nobody else fits that bill but the Edomites, you so-called white people. Let's get one more. Isaiah chapter 26, verse 10, because we identify who the wicked are. We identify that the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. So let's find out what else the Lord said about the wicked. Isaiah 26 and 10, let favor be shown to the wicked, meaning let favor be shown to them. Let righteousness be shown to them. Let's show them the right way to do things. It says, yet will he not learn righteousness. Why? Because the wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. In the land of uprightness will he deal unjustly, and will not behold the majesty of the Lord, because they're over there in the land of Israel, those imposters, and they have turned that land upside down. They got gay parades. They got all kind of madness going on over there. So you can show them the favor. You could bring them to the land. You can give them the book, but they're not going to follow it because they hate instruction. And they're not going to do right. May you do good that are accustomed to doing evil. You were created to be the wicked. You're just going to have to accept that. See, now you're not accepting it because, you have the power right now. but eventually you're going to have to own up to it, because the time is coming where you're going to be put down, and you're going to be forced to acknowledge the truth. See, now you could put your spins on it, your this narrative and that narrative, and a lot of people are stupid when it comes to these when it comes to this subject. So they're gonna agree with you because they're following that blind bullshit, that you're giving them. The simple belief of every word. So let's listen to a little bit more, and then I want to get a couple of precepts, and there's another part of here I want to get to as well.
Only death or slavery, close quote.
Whoop, let's go.
That are identified as Black Hebrew Israelites, which the Southern Poverty Law Center found that, quote, the extremist fringe of the Hebrew Israelite movement is black supremacist. It also wrote that the members of those groups, quote, believe that Jews are devilish imposters and openly condemn whites as evil personified, deserving only death or slavery, close quote.
What's wrong with that? That's what the scriptures say. You go to Obadiah. The Obadiah tells you about the captivity that they're going to go into, and afterwards how they're going to be destroyed. So what's wrong with that?
I hope that our hearing and the outcome of today will address all forms of domestic terrorism, no matter which ideology inspires that terrorism. I look forward to hearing from our witnesses, and I would like to add the indictment and sentencing memo from the Family Research Council case to the record. That's okay.
All right, so I'm going to read a couple of these precepts that the elder Menat Zagba put up. Wherefore do the wicked live, become old, they are mighty in power, and they have the power. Job 21:14. Therefore they say unto the Most High, depart from us, for we desire not the knowledge of thy ways. Yeah, because they have the book, but they do not follow the book. I want to read this one that this brother put up here. Lamentations 5:2-3. Our inheritance is turned to strangers, and that's exactly what happened. When you go to the book of Ezekiel, the 36th chapter, it tells you how these devils, specifically the Edomites and the other nations, took our land and were joyful in that they took our land. It says our houses to aliens, and that's what happened. Because right now that land over there is being inhabited by aliens, meaning, these devils, these strangers. We are orphans and fatherless. Our mothers are as widows. That's right. So let's go back down to the bottom here. All right. So let's go here. Let's get a couple of these precepts, and then, matter of fact, you know what? Let me try to get this other point. Let me just get it queued up. For some reason, this thing is hard to catch. Just leave it right there for now. Damn, caught him in a bad spot. All right, so let's get to it, because it says the name of the lesson is the gates of the nobles, right? The gates of the nobles. So this is Isaiah 13:1. That's a direct quote from Isaiah 13:2. It says the burden of Babylon, which Isaiah the son of Amos did see. So Isaiah saw the burden of Babylon. He saw everything that's happening right now, and he also saw the destruction of this place and the ones that were going to destroy this place, which the scriptures identify as the Medes, which are the so-called Russians today, which the ancient Medes were of the seed of Japhet, which they were brown-skinned people that were living down around in the area south into going up into what they used to call Georgia, Russia. All right, in that area, so the Edomite Russians today control Russia today, and that's going to be one of the main nations that's going to destroy America with thermonuclear destruction, along with some of their allies and along with the allies of America. All right, so Isaiah saw this destruction, and he saw after the destruction, after the flames went out, so to speak, and how this land was going to be inhabited by wild beasts. Okay, it says, lift ye up a banner upon the high mountain. Now, I just wanted to see what these devils, in the commentary were going to say about the gates of the nobles. And I was reading through some of those commentaries in the Bible Hub, and man, they have no clue. They were butchering it. They were talking about the banner represents a military banner and all this and that. It doesn't represent that. The banner represents the Bible. All right. So let's prove that real quick. Let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 60 and verse 4. It says, "Thou hast given a banner to them that fear thee, that it may be displayed because of the truth." Selah. So what is the banner? The Bible. Let's look up the word banner real quick. You got the word nas. Something lifted up, standard, signal, signal pole, ensign, banner, sign, sail. Standard as rallying point, signal, standard, pole, ensign, signal. See, so it represents an actual signal or actual sign or actual standard, but it's not talking about a physical one, a pole that you put up with a flag on it. That pole with the flag is a representation of the scriptures. The pole, you could say, could represent the rod, as it speaks about in the book of Revelation, the 11th chapter. And the flag is the pages of the scriptures, which are was setting forth the standard and setting forth the judgments of the Most High. Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. So let's go back. Let's read that again. "Thou hast given a banner to them that fear thee, that it may be displayed because of the truth." Selah. So the banner is the truth, this knowledge, the scriptures. So lift ye up a banner upon the high mountain. What is the high mountain? America. That is the high mountain, Babylon the Great, because it's speaking about Babylon. So lift up the banner upon the high mountain, meaning speak this word and give sentence and judgment to these people. Let's go real quick. Let's go real quick to the book of Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 2. "Declare ye among the nations." See, because this is a declaration. What we're doing when we teach, we're declaring, we're making a declaration among these nations, because all nations are to hear this message. Right? Let's go real quick to Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 5. It says, "Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee, and before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee, and I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations." So we are prophets unto the nations. We are to go and give them their judgments, read the judgments off to them. And in process of time, the Lord will come and he will make those words good, because they are his words. That's why it says when you do something, you stay in the word of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, so that we may be justified and overcome when we are judged. So in all cases, we're supposed to stand by the scriptures, because that is our vindication. Now, I was watching Elder Apostle Gabar's video that he did based off of the video I did yesterday, and he had mentioned that I didn't mention these Israelite groups toting guns and going to the shooting range, which in all honesty, that didn't come to mind, but that is a very good point. Honestly, it didn't come to mind to mention them, but that is a good point, because that is a part of the demonization that they're using against us, Because trust me, had it come to mind, I would have mentioned it, but it didn't come to mind. Well, that's what the scriptures say. Speaks about two are better than one. So it says, so let's go back, Jeremiah 50 and 2. "Declare ye among the nations." So this message is to the nation. "And publish," mean make it public. The word declare is of, de is of, and clear is clear, of clear, like to make it clear. "Among the nations, let them know what's coming." And publish, meaning make it public, bring it out in public, and set up a standard. See, and what is that standard? This knowledge, this word. Let's look up and see what the word standard says. The same thing, nas, for the same word for banner, standard, same thing. All right, publish and conceal not. See. So it's not time to hide this. It's time to declare this on the housetop. What did Yahushua say? What you have heard in secret, I believe he said, shout at the housetop, something like that. If brothers know what that scripture is at, if you could bring it out in the book of Matthew. All right. Yeah, these are some good precepts. Job 21:30, that the wicked is reserved to the day of destruction. they shall be brought forth to the day of wrath. And that's what we're supposed to be telling them. 1 Thessalonians 5:22, abstain from all appearance of evil. That's right. That's why those Israelites that are toting guns, and showing what they got to the public, that's not a good look, because what that's going to cause is going to cause demonization against the rest of us, because we're not a violent group. We're a spiritual group. But these guys are making it seem like we're violent, and that's why they speaking about this militant, black supremacy, because they have to paint the narrative to the people that we're evil, that we're wicked, so that they'll justify them coming against us. Revelation 22:10, and he said unto me, seal not the sayings of the prophecy of this book, for the time is at hand, and we're at that time. Ezekiel 3:17, Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel, therefore hear the word in my mouth, and give them warning from me. Jeremiah 25:14, for many nations and great kings shall serve themselves of them also, and I will recompense them according to their deeds and according to the works of their own hands. That's right. That's right. And, shalom to the elders and the Akim, on the comment board. So let me get back to this. Declare ye among the nations and publish and set up a standard, which is the scriptures. Publish and conceal not, so don't hide it. Say Babylon is taken. Yeah, because we're letting them know that this place is finished. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her. You can't take, there's not any stimulus package that you could do to turn this place around from what is supposed to come upon it. All right. So let's go. It says Bel is confounded, which is a representation of her idols. Ancient Babylon had idols, but America has idols also, but they're just not put on the forefront. Just the ideology, the thoughts, the philosophies, the way that they do things, without publicly letting the people know that this is offered, to idols. They're not open with their witchcraft. Merodach is broken in pieces. Her idols are confounded. Her images are broken in pieces. Yeah, so now it's time for this place to be judged, because their idols is a representation of their power. Remember, the gods of the nations are nothing but idols. That's a representation of their power. But now their power is broken, because the Lord had broken the staff of the wicked. Let's go real quick to Isaiah 14:4. That thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon. And that's what we're doing. We're taking these proverbs, these sayings, the prophecies, the truth. Sometimes we make mockery of them. Sometimes we'll say jokes, but it's all truth. It says, and say, how have the oppressors ceased? The golden city ceased. Yeah, because you're coming to your end now. And this is why you see the prophecies speaking like they are. The Lord has broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. So your rulership, your power is broken. You're witnessing right now the demise of America, Babylon the Great. This great empire that has ruled for so long that nobody ever thought would go down is going down. Just like all of those other empires. And America is paralleling every aspect of ancient Rome. They're going the same exact way as ancient Rome. Devaluing of the money. Spreading their forces out too far. Not having enough resources. That's why they have to constantly keep pumping dollars into the economic soup, which is making the dollar weaker. For a good while, I was going to this one place where I get the high grade, 93. It was $2.17 for a long time. Then it might go up to $2.19 and go back to $2.17. I went there maybe a few weeks ago. It was like $2.40 something. I went there maybe a week later. It's like $2.65. That's showing you how the dollar is being devalued. Because it's the same gas. Would they put some extra good shit in there? They put some King Henry, whatever that liquor is, that real expensive liquor, King Louis or whatever that is. They put some of that in there. No, the dollar is being devalued day by day. You know? So the Lord is breaking this place apart slowly but surely. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger, is persecuted, and none hindereth. So this is all a part of our message, a part of lifting up that banner upon the high mountain. All right, now let's go from there to Matthew 10 and 16. It says, a hard road before them. Now the apostles, Yahushua and the apostles, they suffered this, what we're about to read. And some of us are going to go through it. Who it is, who exactly, and how exactly it's going to go down, we don't know. But we are being brought, we're taken up in the lips of the nobles now. They want to resolve this matter. They want to eradicate this whole situation. This is why they're pushing so hard to get everything digital. Because once everything is digital, you don't comply, you get cut off. And this is why they want to push the mark of the beast, which is a microchip. It's about total control, man. They've had religion out there. Religion does not have total control over all people. You have atheists out there. You have people that believe in other different religions outside of Christianity. So how in the fuck can the mark of the beast be Christianity? It's not an ideology. It's an actual thing that you won't be able to buy or sell with if you don't have it. So it goes on to say, behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Yeah, that's why you don't go out there with no goddamn guns, to no shooting range. If you do that on your own, then do that on your own. Don't put that shit on video. Because the perception that you give to them is the perception that they're going to look at, they're going to paint for the rest of the Israelites. For the stupidity of a few. And for the most part, they paid off. A lot of them guys are paid off. That's why they're doing what they're doing. Remember, back in the days, there were wicked men out of Israel that joined forces with the Greeks. They joined forces with the Romans. They joined forces with the other nations to come against their own people. What do you think now in this time that's different? All those people, no, that doesn't happen anymore. You must be out your mind. You must be living in La La Land if you don't think that's happening right now. A lot of those guys you see doing this stupid shit, they're fucking paid. And if they're not paid, certain ones of them, then they're just simple. So it says, but beware of men, for they will deliver you up to the councils, and they will scourge you in their synagogues. It says, and you shall be brought before governors and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them and the Gentiles. And this is our message to the world. It's against these nations. It's against the kings, the nobles. It's against the nations. That the Lord is coming back to take his rightful place on his throne. And he's going to kick everybody else off of this rulership position. All right. So let's go. Matter of fact, let me read on. But when they deliver you up, take no thought how or what you shall speak, for it shall be given to you. It shall be given you in that same hour what you shall speak. For it is not ye that speak, but the Spirit of your Father which speaketh in you. So back then it was the same thing. They were brought before the governors and leaders and they gave a testimony. And this time it'll happen similar to it. But for the most part, they're not going to be able to take every single Israelite and bring them before the gates of the nobles. Just like we're not going to be able to take this word and go and jet set all over the world to bring the word out. You got the internet to do that. So right now, as these legislators are speaking about the Hebrew Israelites, even though it's in a negative light, that is the gates of the nobles. So the word has reached the gates of the nobles. All right, so let's see what else we got. Let's go back to Isaiah 13 and then we can move on from there. Isaiah chapter 13, verse 2. Lift ye up a banner upon the high mountain. Lift the Bible up upon America, Babylon the Great. Exalt the voice unto them. Shake the hand. So when you're exalting your voice and shaking your hand, you're telling somebody off. You're cursing them out. And they feel it. This is why, let's go real quick to the book of Revelation 11 and 11. It says, and after 3 days and a half, the Spirit of life from the Most High entered into them. And what is that? That's the words of these scriptures. The actual truth. The truth that shall make us free, as Yahweh Shai spoke of. The 100% truth. It says, and they stood upon their feet. Why? Because they came out of that slave mentality and stood upon their feet as the people of the Lord. The powers of the earth. The rightful rulers of the earth. It says, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. And this is what's happening. So as they see this, and this is a stark reminder to them that they're going down, and that every time they try to squash, this thing about slavery and how they stole this land down and make everybody docile, this message keeps coming up, and they're getting nervous behind it. And this is why they pretty much killed Billie Holiday, because they didn't want her to keep singing that song because it was stirring up emotions. Because that song "Strange Fruits," it brought something out of Jake back then. When they heard that song and she was singing, they didn't want her to sing it anymore. So the FBI made it their business. When she got sick and went to the hospital, they chained her to the fucking hospital bed, and they didn't allow the nurses to give her any medical treatment. And eventually she ended up dying. All because they wanted that message to stop. They wanted that song to stop. Just like they want this song to stop. And that's why they're going demonizing mode now. All right, so let's go back. Isaiah 13. It says, exalt the voice unto them, shake the hand. And that's what's happening. And we knew there was going to come a point where this was going to be brought even to higher, up into the higher echelon, so to speak, for lack of better words, up into the gates of these nobles. Because back, in the 90s, the Hebrew Israelite thing was big, but then it started dying down, going towards 2000, from 2000 on forward till YouTube, pretty much the school had been infiltrated, the splits had already happened, and the word, we were still out there teaching, but the word wasn't growing, and being pushed all around the world. It was a period of time before it started to build up. Then when YouTube era came, then that's when the word started building up even more and picking up steam, to where now you have chapters of Israelites all throughout the world. And every time these devils turn around, this truth is smacking them in the face. And it's very uncomfortable to them. And they want it gone. They figured if they're the ones in authority, why the hell do they have to be subjected to this, to this constant blasting, of these words and a constant reminder of the things that they did in the past. So they wanted to stop. So it says that they may go into the gates of the nobles. Now let's look up the word gates. And this is what you're witnessing here, the gates of the nobles. These legislators that are legislating on this thing, which was a House committee, they're talking about the Hebrew Israelites. So let's look up the word. Let's look up the word gates, which is the word pathach, which means to open, opening, doorway, entrance. So that's the entrance to what? To where the nobles at. So where do the nobles meet? They meet here in well, not here, but in Congress. And we see that, over here, where you see these different people, these different speakers speaking on different legislations and figuring out a way to pass certain legislation to get rid of certain unsavory individuals that they claim to be unsavory. All right. So let's go back. And then the opening of the nobles, which is where the nobles reside, where they hold their meetings. Nadayab, inclined, willing, noble, generous, incited, inclined, willing, noble, princely in rank, noble in mind and character. So they were given certain positions. The government are higher officials that are in control of the populace, of the people. They govern the legislation that governs the people. And right now there are talks of the Hebrew Israelites, even though they say black, the Hebrew Israelites in the gates of the nobles, looking for solutions on how to get rid of this word. Because they want to be able to control everything. Hold on one second. All right. So, let's go back. All right. Before we read this next one here, let's go real quick and let's listen to some of this. The point is, let's see. 31, but for some reason I can't. Let me just start here, because I want to just get to the point.
Long history of misusing its mechanisms, including the use of COINTELPRO against Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the post-9/11 targeting of Arabs and Muslims, and the FBI's prioritization.
Yeah, because pretty much what they're doing is they're trying to pass this legislation to give the FBI and other agencies more power to be able to shut these organizations down that they deem to be terroristic. But what he's arguing here is that they'll give them more power, which all they're gonna do with that power is what? Profile. Like when we got arrested in 2002, I believe it was, out there on 34th Street. When we were brought before the judge, we had 4 different lawyers, and one of the lawyers, which was a Jake, he said pretty much, well, Your Honor, everybody's dressed the same, so pretty much what they said, what all the cops did was just grab everybody that had on garments. So what was that? That was pretty much profiling. And that's what they're going to do. Once they pass this legislation, it's about profiling. Okay, you're a threat, well, even if you didn't do anything, just by association. And that's where the time of Jacob's trouble is going to come in. The insurrection against those that fear the Lord.
Of black identity extremists makes clear that new authority would be used to expand racial profiling, undermine due process, or target political opponents.
And what does that go into? The accuser of thy brethren. And that's what they're doing right now.
All in the name of national security. Instead, we should use existing tools to combat white supremacy without enabling new abuses. Second, Congress must identify ways to address and dismantle white supremacy in law enforcement. We know
that's true. How come they never talk about that?
Most police officers report for duty every day, determined to honor their mission. But we also know that there are officers who have actively promoted white supremacist groups that incite or use violence.
That's it. And the Hebrew Israelites do not have a track record of that. And we believe that one individual that did that, he was paid off to do that out there in Jersey. Because they have to demonize. Remember the FBI, what did they do? They were doing all kind of shit back in the 60s and 70s. to demonize the Black Panthers, even though they didn't have the truth, but they were organizing for the purpose of, speaking against the oppression that their people were going through. But what did the FBI do? They didn't like that, so they would set shit up, make it seem like they were doing this and doing that so that they could justify themselves coming and cracking skulls. See? That's the same thing they're doing with the Hebrew Israelites. But the difference between them and us is that we have the truth. They didn't. They came together, for the most part, it was a noble cause. If your intentions were sincere, but they didn't have the truth. So they didn't have that breath. But now we have the breath, and that's why I said that the breath of the Lord entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them.
White supremacy infects so many of our institutions, but its impact on policing is especially devastating. It makes us all less safe, including the police. Congress must demand a full accounting of what is being done to address white supremacy in law enforcement. And the White Supremacy in Law Enforcement Information Act is a good first step. Congress and federal agencies must also identify ways to ensure that law enforcement officers who incite racist violence are no longer welcome. Third, Congress must pass legislation and appropriations to enhance the federal response to hate crimes. White nationalist violence and other hate crime terrorizes communities on a daily basis. We also know that we do not have the accurate data necessary to effectively address it. The Jabara-hired No Hate Act improves data and community-centered responses. But more must be done, including mandatory reporting and implementation of the National Incident-Based Reporting System. Finally, Congress must pass H.R. 40 to study the efficacy of reparations for African Americans and create a U.S. Commission for Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation.
Which that's not going to happen until the kingdom comes, Jake is wasting their time trying to get reparations from the devil, But now I'll get a couple more precepts and then we could close out. So the gates of the nobles, right? So pretty much what's happening is the Lord is sending his prophets out there before this whole situation goes down. And what the prophets are doing is telling them what's going to happen to them prior to it, before it happening. And then eventually the Lord is going to make good on his word. Jeremiah 28:8, the prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesy both against many countries and against great kingdoms of war and of evil and of pestilence. And that's what we're doing. And remember, prior to us being delivered out of Egypt, what happened? The Lord sent Moses, his prophet, and Aaron to Pharaoh to tell the Lord to let his people go. Prior to the Lord bringing us out of there. Exodus 7:1. And the Lord said unto Moses, see, I have made thee a god to Pharaoh, and Aaron thy brother shall be thy prophet. And their job was what? To go before Pharaoh and to tell him, look, the Lord said to let my people go, or else this is going to happen to you, or that's going to happen to you, or you're going to get this plague and that plague and the other plague. But the Lord said, look, go do this and say this to him. You're going to say this, you're going to do the miracles and all that. They're still not going to listen to you because I'm going to harden his heart. That he doesn't listen. It says, thou shalt speak all that I command thee, and Aaron thy brother shall speak unto Pharaoh, that he send the children of Israel out of his land. So this is what's happening now. We're telling these devils that the Lord is coming to deliver us. This time we're not leaving. This time when we leave, it's going to be in style. Lords, will we be the elect in the chariots? And during ancient Egypt, we had to go on foot. Our forefathers had to go on foot. But this time, the Lord is coming to deliver us in style, in the chariots. It says, and I will harden Pharaoh's heart and multiply my signs and my wonders in the land of Egypt. But Pharaoh shall not hearken unto you, that I may lay my hand upon Egypt and bring forth mine armies and my people, the children of Israel, out of the land of Egypt by great judgments. These are the signs and the tokens that the Lord showed back then. And this is the new Egypt, spiritually Egypt. It says, and the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord when I stretch forth my hand upon Egypt and bring out the children of Israel from among them. And you know what happened? There was 10 different plagues. And the last plague being the destruction of the firstborn, of the Egyptians. And after that, Pharaoh let them go. Let our forefathers go. And what happened? The Lord hardened his heart again after they got to a certain point, and then him and his army started to come against Israel. And that's when the chariot eventually at night had to come and pretty much cut off the Egyptian army from us. And the back half of the chariot was dark, and the front part of the chariot was lit, so that we can see, we were going. And that chariot, that's the chariot that's coming back. I'm, not saying that one in particular, but, that one. That's the chariot, because that's the chariot that Yahushua is on. Because it says that Yahushua was the one that followed Israel through the wilderness. So that was that chariot. This time, the elect are going to get beamed up into that chariot. See? All right, so let's go to Isaiah 34:1. Come near ye nations to hear, and hearken ye people, that the earth hear, and all that therein is, or all that is therein. The world and all things that come forth of it, because this is a message to all these nations, beginning with Esau. And that's what we're telling them. That's why they're going to the gates of the nobles, because this was the job that the Lord told us to do. So that they can go to the gates of the nobles and find out what can they do to get rid of us. What legislation can they pass? Jacob's trouble is coming, man. It says, for the indignation of the Lord is upon all nations, and his fury upon all their armies. He hath utterly destroyed them. He hath delivered them to the slaughter. And that's why all those armies are being amassed over there in what's called the Middle East. Because the Lord is about to pour his fury upon them. It says, their slain also shall be cast out, and their stink shall come up out of their carcasses, and the mountains shall be melted with their blood, because those military men will be totally destroyed, devoured. It says, and all the hosts of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll. Those are what they call mushroom clouds that look like scrolls being rolled together when you look at footage of it, or when you look at pictures of it. It says, and all their hosts shall fall down. That's dealing with all their jets, planes, everything that they have, tanks, whatever. As the leaf falleth off from the vine, and as a falling fig from the fig tree. For my sword shall be bathed in heaven, meaning Esau's heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea. Idumea is the Greek way of saying Edom. Adawam in the Hebrew. And upon the people of my curse to judgment. And they are the people of the Lord's curse. They curse with leprosy, and they also curse for judgment, to judgment, because they are the vessels of wrath fitted to destruction. That's what the Lord said, for Jacob have I loved, and Esau have I hated. It said, the sword of the Lord is filled with blood. It is made fat with fatness, and with the blood of lambs and goats. That's dealing with their military men. With the fat of the kidneys of rams. This is the great altar scripture, as Apostle Tar always calls it. For the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai had the sacrifice in Basra, and a great slaughter in the land of Idumea. So the Edomites are the focal point of the Lord's anger and destruction. The other nations also, because we read the first verse, this is a message to all these nations and their militaries. You're about to be brought down. And as you read further down, it tells you about the destruction of America, how it's going to be totally destroyed. What else we got here? Jeremiah 51:25. Behold, I am against you, O destroying mountain. So the Lord is against you. It's against America. It's against Babylon the Great. Saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, which destroyeth all the earth. And you got the whole world pretty much at the brink of destruction. And I will stretch out mine hand upon thee, and roll thee down from the rocks, and will make thee a burnt mountain. Because you're going to be burnt up. That is the future of America. That is the lake of fire, not hell, with a devil with a red suit and a pitchfork and horns on it. and a tail. You're going to be burnt up by the nuclear missiles and the lasers from the chariots. And that's what's going to cause that lake of fire. And they shall not take of thee a stone for a corner, nor a stone for foundation, but thou shalt be desolate forever, saith the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Al Shai. So pretty much, you're finished. You're done. All right, so let's go. That's pretty much it. So I'm just read a few more verses out of Isaiah 13 and close the lesson there. Isaiah 13 and 3. I have commanded my sanctified ones, which are the prophets, which are the ones that are opening up the banner, declaring this banner upon the high mountain, exalting the voice and shaking the hand. And right now they're speaking, the nobles are speaking about the sanctified ones, the prophets, in these meetings that they're having. It says, I have also called my mighty ones for mine anger, which are the angels, even them that rejoice in my highness. The noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. The Lord of hosts mustereth the hosts of the battle. This is the different armies that are being amassed, but this is also speaking about the missiles. It says they come from a far country. This is the point here. From the end of heaven, even the Lord, and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. And I'm not sure if it's Jeremiah 50 or 51. Just bear with me 1 second. Now it's got to be 50. What do we got here? That's 1. Nope, that's 28. Let me try to go to 50. And right here, 22. A sound of battle is in the land and of great destruction. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? I have laid a snare for thee because you're trapped, no matter what you do. And thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou wast not aware. Yeah, because you have no clue, because you're still forging on with your new world order. It says, thou art found and also caught because thou hast striven against the Lord. See, you're striving against the Maker, man. The Lord made you, fool. The Lord hath opened his armory, which is what? Those missiles. And hath brought forth the weapons of his indignation, his righteous anger. For this is the work of the Lord power of hosts in the land of the Chaldeans, which is America. Babylon the Great. Come against her come against her from the utmost border. Open her storehouses, cast her up as heaps, and destroy her utterly. Let nothing of her be left. Yeah, because there's not going to be anything left. There's not going to be any borders, any buildings, any stones upon another, nothing. It's going to be total devastation. Total devastation. Slay all her bullocks, which are military men. Let them go down to the slaughter, because this could be used also as an altar scripture. Woe unto them, for their day is come, the time of their visitation. So it's time for you. The handwriting's on the wall, man. It's time. There shall be time no longer, as it speaks of in Isaiah the 13th chapter. So going back, Isaiah 13 and 5, they come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord, and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. All right. How ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand, it shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. And that's what we're waiting for the Lord to destroy this place and deliver us. Therefore shall all hands be faint, because it's going to be bad. And every man's heart shall melt, because they're going to see the destruction coming. It says, and they shall be afraid, pangs and sorrow shall take hold of them. You know, these people ain't been in fear like they're going to be in fear, man. Like making fun of us, talking shit about us, talking shit about the message that we bringing out. All right. Wait till that day comes. And all hell starts breaking loose. Then we see who gets the last laugh. They shall be in pains as a woman that travaileth. They shall be amazed one at another. Their faces shall be as flames. Behold, the day of the Lord cometh, cruel both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land, singular, desolate, which is what? Babylon the Great. And he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it. So you Israelites that don't repent, you're going to be destroyed also. For the stars of heaven and the constellation thereof shall not give her their light. The sun shall be darkened in its going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. Because at this, when all this smoke and ashes and fire go up, they're gonna block out, part of the sun in this area. You ain't gonna be able to see the sun, the moon, or the stars. It's gonna be such thick smoke and clouds. And I will punish the world for their evil and the wicked for their iniquity. And I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. I will make a man more precious than fine gold, meaning the Israelite man, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. All right. Therefore will I shake the heavens, and the earth shall remove out of her place. The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard. In the wrath of the Lord of hosts, and in the day of his fierce anger. Now I just want to jump down to here. Babylon will fall to the Medes, which is the Russians today. Not that the Russians go back to the ancient Medes, because the ancient Medes were dark-skinned people of Japhet, but they're in that land now. Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it, because the spirit of the Lord is going to be in them. He said that they're going to think an evil thought in their heart. The Lord said he's going to turn them back, because right now Russia is in cahoots. She's in bed with America. It says, their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces, which are the missiles, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare children. Yeah, because when the missiles come, they're not going to say, oh, there's women and children there. We're not going to get them. No, they're going to get everybody in their way. And Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the same thing is said in the book of Revelation 17. Let's get that real quick. Revelation 17 and 18. And the woman which thou sawest is that great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth. And Babylon, ancient Babylon, had long been destroyed when this was written. All right. So this is dealing with the same thing. In Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency shall be as when the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah, which we know that Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed by fire from heaven, that the Lord rained upon them for their wickedness. The wicked Judah's blood goat. It shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation, neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, because these Arabs are not going to have nothing to do here. Their stores and all that stuff they have, they're not going to be able to do that anymore. They're not going to be able to make no more money here. Neither shall the shepherds make their fold there, but wild beasts of the desert shall lie there. And this is spoken of in different accounts. And their houses shall be full of doleful creatures, and owls shall dwell there, and satyrs shall dance there, and the wild beasts of the island shall cry in their desolate places. We just read, you could read about this in Isaiah 34 and Revelation 18. And dragons in their pleasant palaces. And her time is near to come, and her days shall not be prolonged. So this that's going on now, it's beautiful. The gates of the nobles. I put this video in the description box. So if brothers want to watch more, Lord's will, I'm going to keep watching. I'm about the hour and 44 minutes or so around there. Because there was a big break from around the 49th minute or so, all the way to an hour and 40 minutes. So I just started watching, this part here. And then there's another break, I believe. Yep, right here. So Lord's will, I'm going to try to keep watching this, so see if I can pick up any more nuggets out of there. All right, so with that, I pray that you brothers have been edified. To the next time I say, Shalom.